Before we start this week's episode, you've got to check out the elevator in our building. It's pretty crazy. This weekend we are off to Brasov. So this is a town located about 180 kilometers away from Bucharest, which is where we are staying. Bucharest is the capital of Romania, and it's about a 2.5 hour train ride from here. So we're going to walk from our apartment down to the subway to the main station, which is Gara do Nord, and then from there we'll be heading by train up to Brasov. So Brasov is kind of like Romania's answer to Queenstown, for those of you who have been to New Zealand. Brasov it's got a ski field there. It's a touristy kind of town, picturesque from what I've been told. Never been there myself, but from what I've heard it's pretty good. It's a bit colder than it is here in Bucharest, so I've got my trusty hat, which I've had for a few years now. I got this in Bolivia of all places. Come along for the journey and see what you think. So we're stopping off on the way to get a coffee. He roasts his own coffee here. It's actually really quite delicious. Okay, so it's 7 o'clock here on Friday night in the Bucharest train station. We are just waiting for our train to arrive. Raluca's in getting us some dinner. No points for guessing whereabouts, but we hear there's not really any food on the train that we want to eat, so we're going to get some food that we probably shouldn't eat instead. And here comes the train now. So this train has like a little community library which you can take books from, and you can either give the book back or swap it with another book that you don't want to read anymore. I think it's pretty cool. Hey, Rebecca. Alright, so we're in the train station, and the brown castle that you can see up there is apparently where Dracula used to live, because we are now in Transylvania. We are also pretty lucky because our Airbnb host has offered to come and pick us up from the train station, which is super useful.
te vois, mon cœur bat. Love is intense, je serai là, toujours pour toi. Love is intense, quand je te vois, mon cœur bat. Love is intense, je serai là, toujours pour toi. Love is intense, quand je te vois, mon cœur bat. Love is intense, je serai là, toujours pour toi.
Started off this morning and it was about -3 degrees, and at the moment we're sitting at about 4 degrees, so it's, temperature's risen quite a bit. Still snow on the ground, but as you can see it's been mounting quite a bit, so it's definitely heating up. Still pretty chilly, but not bad. So you might have noticed that this doesn't really look like a snowboarding mountain. We decided to have a bit of a sleep in today, and this town is so beautiful that we're going to check it out and show you some sights around here instead today, but we are still going to the mountain tomorrow. So we're about to enter Rope Street, which is apparently one of the most narrow streets in Europe. It is about 1.35 meters wide at the widest part, and it's about 80 meters long, which takes us up to the mountain which is nearby. So you can see the graffiti or the writing on the wall here. So this is a space marked out for people to write little messages and stuff on this wall. And you can also see a little rope here. I'm guessing that's something to do with it being Rope Street. Raluca, do you know why there's a rope there?
So you know that you're on Rope Street.
Right, just in
It's a
case,
reminder.
just in case you forgot you're on Rope Street, they put a rope there. Just to remind you, apparently. And that's Rope Street. So we're going to head up the mountain now on the gondola, and Raluca was just telling me you can actually walk back down. However, you risk coming across bears, which are starting to come out of hibernation now, and they get attracted by the rubbish which is down in the town. So don't think we'll walk down today. This place is in desperate need of a handrail.
Best one?
I'm going to attempt to film myself getting down here.
I can film you.
And that's why we don't do that.
Ivan lost his hat and he just found it. But how did he found it?
So I had my hat on my bag like this, clipped around here, because I didn't really feel like wearing it. And we got all the way to the top of the mountain, so it must have been a good, what, hour or so?
1 hour and a half, yeah.
An hour and a half. And I realized just before coming back down that I actually didn't have my hat attached to my bag anymore. And Raluca happened to ask someone in the gondola coming back down, and that person didn't know, but a person standing behind her actually did know exactly and said that where they had seen the hat when they came up, and it was still
on the
sitting
stairs.
here now. So in Brasov there is the remnants of a fortified wall which goes, or used to go around most of the city. You'll see towers like this one here. And the story is that they belonged to different trades. So for example, this one here was to be protected by the hunters. The previous one that we went to was to be protected by linen makers. So each little turret or fortress that you see here was to be manned or to be protected or protect the city by various different trades that worked within the city. And this is a model of the wall that I was talking about, so you can see the turrets and the wall that went around what was the original Brasov city.
From this little shop, we tried galuște cu prude, which means, I don't know how to translate galuște, that they have like plums inside. It's delicious, a dessert. And this is picturesque, it's a Hungarian dessert, very popular here in Transylvania. It's like hot, very nice when it's hot and fresh. And it has walnuts and honey.
So we're staying in the central part of Brasov, and it's in like a Victorian / medieval kind of setup. That's what the architecture and the buildings remind me of anyway. And a lot of the little housing areas have like a private little access way off the street, which is accessible through like a big old wooden door, and really awesome, quite ornate, but looks really cool. So this is our little alleyway, so I'll show you what that looks like, and I'll also show you that door just because it looks really cool. So down our street we've got coffee shops, we've got bars, restaurants, pubs, we've got clothes shops, souvenir shops, pharmacies, just all the regular kind of shops that you get really, but pretty cool to have that so close to where we're staying. And just check out the door, and this is what I'm talking about in terms of the private access way into the area that we're staying. So we've run into a small problem today. We've got to catch a train back to Bucharest tonight, and there's a funny rule when you go to book the tickets online that with the government run trains you've got to book 6 hours before the train departs at least, and which is okay if the trains after that had any tickets left, but they don't. And then there's also private trains that run on the same lines, and we tried to book with them, but they also seem to be booked out. We're going to go and try our luck at the train station to book some separate tickets there, and see if we can either get a standing ticket maybe, or maybe there's just an issue with the website. It seems strange that there's no tickets at all left from all the trains, because there's actually a lot of trains that are leaving here. So we'll try our luck and see what happens.
What hour we want to take? 7:00 without the seat.
Without a seat?
Yeah, there's nothing.
Alright, so we had some success. We got standing tickets on a train leaving at 7:20. So Raluca was just saying that the price for a standing ticket used to be a lot less than the price for a seated ticket, which kind of makes sense because standing for 2.5 hours kind of sucks. But no, now we are paying more for the standing ticket going back than we paid for the seated ticket coming here. Probably should have booked our return ticket sooner, but we weren't sure when we wanted to go back. So Brasov is in the Transylvania district, and obviously Transylvania for most of us is famous for Dracula.
So he was a king of Wallachia, south of Romania, and his full name is Vlad Dracula, or he's known also as Vlad the Impaler, because he was very cruel and he would impale his enemies. It's what inspired Bram Stoker to write his famous novel. He was not a vampire, unfortunately, for people who want to come here for this kind of stories. And he was imprisoned in the famous castle, Bran Castle, or Dracula's castle. It was never his castle. The only link between him and the castle was that he was imprisoned for a while there. And this name comes from his father being part of the dragon order. It was a sort of what we know today as masonerie. How do you call that? Mason.
Or masonry? Oh, so like the Freemasons, what we know now.
Yeah. No blood involved except the executions.
So
We made it.
we made it. We actually thought this train was going in a different direction because it's kind of what it is indicated on the platform, but
And it writes on the train. It says that it goes from Bucharest to Bucharest.
no, it turns out this is actually our train. But we did make it, so that's cool. And here we awkwardly stand at the back of the carriage. So yeah, fun times. We do have a wall to lean against though, so it's not
We have to pay the wall.
So far we actually have seats. Not sure how long this is going to last for, but we'll take it while we can. Seat update, we're still seated, although mine has changed. Alright, final seat update. We're on the subway, we are back in Bucharest and we had a seat all the way.
2 seats.
Which is pretty sweet. So we made it back home safe and sound.
Thanks for watching us in Brasov. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. And keep watching Finding Lemons.
And we'll see you again soon.
Bye.
So we made it back home safe and sound.
Finding Lemons. So we're wearing this. I did the last time. This is the last time also. Come again.